Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. Tuesday night's a Supercoach edition. The night before, obviously, Origin Game 2. Cannot wait for that one. But plenty to talk about on a Supercoach point of view. Plenty of green arrows from all three of us over the weekend, I believe. Might be no. Hang on. I've gone off a bit early there. I didn't do that on purpose either. So hang on. We'll talk about that very, very shortly. But shout out obviously to the major sponsor, Caxton Street Brewing Company. If you're looking for some last minute decisions, if you're around the Brisbane area for tomorrow night, you got no idea what to do yet, but you want to be out and about type thing, make sure you head there. $55 tickets for basically all you can eat chicken wings, or you can sort of drink as well, tap beer, house wines, all that sort of thing there as well. $55, get your own seat. Watch the game with us down in the bunker. All these awesome screens, surround sort of sound. It's fantastic. So if you have no plans, you're around the Brisbane area, make sure you are there. And obviously, shout out to Con at Freedom Finance as well, the Supercoach podcast sponsor. Very much appreciate everything you are doing for us as well. And for everyone out there helping save money. Lots happening in the financial world. Please make sure you do contact Con and the team. Let's discuss our weekend. I got Trav, I got Jesse with me for this one once again. It's a bit cold, I'll tell you that much for free right now. I'm getting a little bit chilly. Jesse, talking about cold, your Supercoach has gone a bit cold.
It has gone a bit cold. It's been cold for a couple of weeks now. I've slowly been just dropping and dropping since I cracked the 500. Just dropped back down to 2.5, and I've been yo-yoing 2.5 to 2. Still my head in actually. I got 960 this week, so it was actually after a really generous rescore as well. I think a lot of it had to do with the Teddy captain because he got an extra like 20 something points, so double. Thank you very much. But yeah, I was going into, what was it, Monday? It was Sunday night. I think I was on 890 points and stressing about it. I thought I'm going to be dropping hard here. This is going to be a bad time. But I woke up and had a look, 960. I'll take that. I had a couple of shitters, to be fair. It was just, no one really went big. Like I was just going through, where can I even see the scores? Lucas was good, 82. Keon obviously got injured, 73. I traded in Preston. He got 52. It's quite disappointing. Obviously, Herbie went massive, 150. I didn't captain him. He was my captain choice initially with a VC on Teddy. Ended up just taking the Teddy captain instead, so lost out in there. But yeah, all in all, Drinkwater 33. There was just low scores across the board. Thank God for Azarko and Herbie just to kind of keep it up. But yeah, look, I'll take it. Was it 960? I dropped 417 spots with it though, so it wasn't that good. Could have been much worse. Now I'm season rank is 2,461. So yeah, back down a little bit. Team value 16.3. Overall score 18,832 with 13 trades remaining. That's it. It's my wrap up.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Good.
I've got to be honest with you. When I looked at your score on the Sunday night, I was thinking we're going to get a Jesse that's in all sorts. And I was kind of looking forward to it for the content purposes. And then to see the next day that you went up so much, I thought that's only a Jesse thing as well. So well done. Yeah, it sort of saved you in a way.
It did.
Travi boy, how about you, mate? I think you got a bit of a smile on your dial.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row I've led the crew. Hey, that's yeah.
Well done.
I'll take those. I'll take them. 1,046 for me. I went into Sunday night with a 994 and was pretty happy about 994. To be fair, I captained Teddy, and with the 81 that I think he had, obviously knowing that Herbie got the 150, but to be honest, like I said, he'd be a good captain option, but I was never going to do that myself. So I'm not going to say that I missed out on that one. But then Teddy pops up with his 97 and just went, yeah, that's a awesome captain score. So I'm pretty stoked with that. But yeah, 994, I went to bed and woke up with a 1,046 on update. So that was pretty nice. What did I do? So Captain Teddy with the 97, which was good. To be honest, Jesse, I actually think that the Teddy VC loop that you did was, with the way that things were going and what was happening, I thought that was a no-brainer. So Like you could be disappointed, and hindsight's awesome, but like I think that was a good choice, really. To be fair,
Sorry, I straight captain Teddy. I've chucked the
oh, did
VC.
you? I think you just said before that you VC'd him. So I know.
No,
It's all right.
I
I misunderstood
initially,
what you said.
yeah, going into last week's pod, I was on a VC Teddy into a C Herbie, like Joel was, and I was like, oh, I'll mix it up, and then I was gonna put it on Garrick, and then I was like, nah, I'm rolling this Heinz dice with the Dragons record. Didn't work, so that's why I just committed to the Teddy captain. But is what it is.
It's all right. I still think that even then with the 81, I think that was in a buy round. I still think that's a good loop score, and you've got pretty good guts and stuff like that, and a good nous to take anything other than that if you want to. So, but yeah, so that was good. I VC'd Hines for his shitter 57, but like I'll take the 57. My two trades that I made last week were Teddy coming in, so very stoked with that. That was a great trade for me. Very happy to have him, and he'll almost be perma captain every week for the next 3-4 weeks. Pretty bloody happy with what I did last week. And it finished with I'm a season rank now, so I got a 2.2k rise. I'm now top 10k, 9,721. Total score is 18,453. I am still, so a quick little story. There's another couple of content creators that I'm following. I talk to every now and then. I was in front of him by like 1,500 ranks going into this week. He scored 26 more points. He's now like 2,000 ranks higher than me this week. So like the difference it's just so congested. From about 5k to about 22k, it's only a few hundred points. It's so congested.
Good score, mate.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's
well done.
That shows you anything can happen. It's almost a captaincy away. If you get the captaincy wrong in this game at the moment, you can be slipping a long way. If you get it right, you can be going up quite a way rank wise as well.
Yeah. Especially with teams being so similar. It's a really good point, Joel. It's with teams so similar. We've really only got 3 or 4 different players amongst most of us. So it really is those reserves and captains, and it's those ones who are calling it and getting it, who are really jumping the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. For me, I got a 1,038. I was pretty happy with that, considering I had players like Olakuatu and stuff as well, spewing that he didn't get that try before he went off. That would have been awesome to just have that little bit of extra points in there, but I unfortunately missed out on that one. Obviously, the Fletcher Sharp news late on hurt me as well. I just didn't even bother looking at ways to get him out. I saved him and just lost a number for the round, which I was okay with in the end. I went up, actually, so I went up 430 spots. So I'm into 1,930 at the moment. So I think that's potentially my highest for the year. So I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with things going. I don't know. I wasn't that keen on that round, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting too much. I think I'd already told myself I was going to drop spots. I just wasn't looking at my team going, yep, that'll get me some good spot numbers, but I stuck strong. I had Herbie from the get-go from this podcast last week as my C. I stayed with him. I didn't get any temptation with Teddy's score with the VC. I just went, nah, I'm going Herbie. Cody Nicarima, I owe you about 13 different dinners and drinks, whatever you want. So I know Herbie's going to get you one for that try, but I'll give you a couple as well. So absolutely love you. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. But yeah, 18,883 is the total score. Got me in the top 1% at the moment. Team value 16.2 at the moment. So yeah, pretty happy with everything at the moment. It's all going quite well.
Flying.
Pretty stoked.
Flying.
Yeah,
we all are. We're doing a really good job at the moment. Well done.
On a bit of a slide, but you boys are killing it.
You're still wide up there, mate.
Yeah, I know.
He did the 2K mark still. He was on the slide. Okay, mate.
Yeah, he's still right up there.
So much red. Anyway,
you're in a better spot than you were this time last year, and last year you got in the top K. So
yeah, true. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like I can't. And you made a really good point about it too. Teams are really similar now. Captaincies are the big thing, but yeah, I was freaking hell. I couldn't crack the top 3,000 until 7 weeks to go last year. So I'm definitely better than I was. So anything can happen. Honestly, you could end up in the top 1K very comfortably with the gap that's there.
Is that the first below 1,000 score that we've had this year between us three? I think it is. We all cracked 1,000 last buy round, I think.
Below 1,000. It must be
Yeah.
then. Last round.
Ooh.
And you know what? Last
Well
round
done,
I went
mate.
into it short as well. I had
Yeah.
13, 14 this week, and I had 14. And then
Yeah,
last buy round I had 12.
So round 12, I had 1,015. I think was that the lowest, and then so I think that's the lowest score that we've had until you just beat that. Then thanks, Jesse.
What a shitter. Damn it. That
He'll be
sucks.
birdie. I just had to bring that up. Sorry, it just popped
Oh,
up in my head.
that's
Then I was like, I think
salt.
we've been pretty good holding it
Hey,
over
Jesse,
1,000.
guess what?
Yeah.
What?
You suck.
Salt in the wound, boys. Twist the
Just a
knife.
shout out to our League of Inches overall competition as well. Starting to heat up now. We're starting to get in the run home, and that all those prizes up for grabs still. So I've got Jolie Boy out in front, not me, unfortunately. Year of the Eagle, 19,699 points at the moment for him. He's currently sitting third overall. He's jumped 29 spots on the weekend, so he's back up the top, Jolie Boy. Please message us. Let us know who you are. I really want to know. You're representing the name very, very well. Top scorer for us as well was Joel. He did the double, so you've actually got the win. So you got the couple of LOI stubby coolers as well. So please message the page to win those prizes. Plus, thanks to Brent over there at Pack Lords, you get the $10 break credit as well towards the next NRL breaks, which is awesome to see. So Jolly Boy's on the double. Well done. Really repping the name. There's something about us Joels at the moment. We're just killing it. Absolutely killing it. Team list, I guess. We rip and tear into some team list action. So first game, Friday night, the Tigers against the Raiders. For the Tigers, I've absolutely stuffed myself here because I haven't got this actually ready. I was too into just being in the top 2K, so I was very, very happy with that. I'm just waiting for this to load up. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm just waiting for this to load up now, which is awesome timing. So here we go. So so Fenella Blake, Pole does return from that knee injury. Sione Finus shifts to the bench. And Alex Toyle also makes a comeback for the Raiders. He's back, the coach's son, that is. So Jed Stewart to make his debut on the wing. Hudson Young, 2 back up from Origin as well at this stage, but keep an eye out of that. I highly doubt it, flying back from Perth and being the first game of the round Friday night. I doubt we'll see Hudson Young playing, but who knows? He's only on the bench. It might depend on his minutes as well. We will see what happens there. Anything to discuss at the moment on this game?
No, not really. Heath Mason's named at 5'8" for the Tigers. I was half expecting to see Latu Fainu there. He'll probably shout him at some point, but honestly, outside of that, not really.
Yeah,
pretty expected.
Pretty expected. Trav, you have anything?
I'm just going to keep an eye on Jed Stewart. Really, I think that he's got that spot now with the amount of injuries that they've got. I think I'm going to watch him, but I'm not buying him early. I have that simple rule, but yeah, I think there's a blessing in disguise to get a rookie center at this time of the year. I think it's great for a downgrade in about 3 weeks' time, so that'll be good. And I'm a incredibly happy Ethan Strange owner, and anyone else can want to get on the bandwagon because he is scoring. And he's at a good price with a break even of -24. So I don't mind that as a downgrade option for people too.
I really don't mind the Jed Stewart play early. I'm going against my rule for this one. The Raiders draw, how it looks on the wing. There is something very much appealing to me at the moment, trying to work some cash in around my team at the moment with a couple of big tradings I am planning over the next week or two. So I'm happy to just basically, if it doesn't go to plan, enough that position out. I could not care anymore. Yeah. It's a Saturday game, Warriors against the Penny Panthers. So for the Wars, or the Warriors, I should say. So we've got Moala Graham Tafar starts at center. Capewell is being rested after Origin. Obviously, I think it's pretty hard for him to get back over there. For the Panthers, no Origin players backing up. That means Dane Laurie at 1, Brad Schneider at 7. There's a whole heap of other changes, which I'd probably recommend just looking at the guide if you haven't done so already. There is a fair few there for the Panthers. Anything for this game at the moment, boys?
I can't say there is, to be honest with you. I'm looking at it. The Panthers, they got so many outs. They kind of just see what happens there. And for the Warriors, I'm not really particularly looking at any Warriors at the moment for whatever reason.
I'm looking at one, but I'll talk about it soon.
Done.
No, he's looking at Lukey Metcalf. He's finally jumping on. Well done, mate. Welcome aboard.
No. I did ride that train and got rid of him.
Oh, well, pity you. Next up, this is at Perth as well, so it actually helps someone like Kalen Ponga back up, which is handy for them. For the Dolphins versus the Newcastle Knights the Hammer as well for the Dolphins. So the Hammer has been named to back up from Origin. Jake Avrillius shifts to the centres. And with Kafusi suspended, Mark Nichols starts in the front row. For the Knights, again, Kalen Ponga has been named to back up. New recruit Dom Young has come back. Guess who's back? Back again. Dom Young's back. Tell your friends.
Oh, that's terrible.
Is that
terrible.
Eminem or what?
Yes, it is Eminem, and that's terrible. You didn't even know he's had to question his reference. Oh my god!
Yeah.
No, I mean, was I Eminem because I sounded that good? I sounded like
rap
him.
god.
My rap god was pretty good. So he is back in part of the action. So that's good. And the big one as well for those that did hold him last week and didn't panic, Fletcher Sharp has been named. And I think pretty much confirmed he will play this weekend. So just keep an eye on all that. Boys, anything for this one?
Oh, shitloads.
This
is a whole podcast in itself.
Let me just put my feet up.
Yeah, well, bloody hell. The Dolphins have scored, over 150 points in the last 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Unbelievable. They're flying. Fins are truly up. Heaps of relevant stuff at the moment. Obviously, Azarko was real popular last week. Herbie's been popular all year. If you don't have him, what are you doing? Jack Bostock.
You don't get Supercoach.
You don't. Yeah, but Bostock, 130k price rise just from last week, 135k. It's 534 now, so he's bloody dear, but he's got a minus 72 break even. Ridiculous. At that price, it's freaking ridiculous. So I think I worked out if he goes 50-50 for the next 2 games, he'll still make about another 130k. He'll be 685, and they'll have a buy in round 18. And then basically by round 19, unless he has another big score, that's where his rolling average, the 175, drops out. So it's a very quick and easy cash grab, and you can basically trade him on in their buy comfortably, so you're not missing anything. The only thing to consider with Bostock at the moment is that that's pretty much, barring that and last week, since they started rolling, that's his only good score all year. He's had a lot of bad scores, man. There's a 42, a 19, 31, a 24, a 13, another 31. Like, that's a lot of very low base, not a great deal going. But again, if you ride that Fins train, they're flying. So worst case, he does his 30s the next couple of weeks. He's still going to make coin, but again, it's a lot to spend, especially if you're spending up to get Bostock, to then try and get a bit more money. It's like you're not really getting that money back. You kind of just, you're spending up to make some. There's got to be a way around it, but there's a very viable play, obviously, in a downgrade if you've got anyone to go to. Maybe if you held Kyle Hero, you know what I mean? Very quick, instant cash. Probably 300k in a week. But heaps.
Is the other downfall to that perhaps having 3 Dolphins in your backline?
It's a worry.
Many out there have Herbie, many have Sarko. Having a third, and if they do decide to shit the bed, hopefully they don't, because I actually really enjoy watching them at the moment. Yeah. But if that does happen, then all of a sudden you go, I know.
Yeah, I think there's definitely grounds to be worried about having 3. But obviously, if you had 3 last week, you weren't worried at all. They're going well. Like, they're really going well. I don't see that run slowing down. Maybe slowing down. They're scoring 50 every week. A little bit, but I don't see them really capitulating from this point. Like, they got a real good rhythm going. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Even if you're going for like a Nicarima at 5'8" or something, everything seems temporary though with the Fins guys. And that's what I'm looking at. It all seems like it's hot right now. And unless it's Herbie, no one's going to last the season, in my opinion. Like, Azarko definitely could. I think Azarko's got the pedigree to be someone you hold on to, but even as a 5th or 6th option, I don't know. You're getting him in just to trade him up. That's the whole point of it. So take advantage of a really low break even, but he's still bloody expensive right now. If you got him last week, you're freaking laughing. It's one of the master plays of the year. So yeah, how many's too many? We've spoken about a few of the Storm guys, but different team. We've spoken about all having a few Knights guys. Most people had 3 or 4 at some point. You got to, have a bit of diversity. So it's an interesting topic.
I definitely don't want 3 Dolphins boys in my team in the center wings. I just don't. I just don't want that. I get the Jack Bostock play. It screams points, and I get that. It screams chasing points from last week, but also you are about to, you're given to make 150K. It's a given. It's going to happen. So it is a quick play. The issue for me is that I have 14 trades. I don't have a trade. I have this trade, and I can make money off this. But to make money off this is essentially implying that I'm going to then make another trade. So I'm 2 trades down by having to trade Bostock. Does that make sense in the way I'm thinking? And then I know that by round 18, I'm more than likely going to make the most of that 150, watch him get a couple of 50s and go, yeah, this is exactly why I bought him, so that I could get this 150 and trade him out. That's another trade. So like I don't have those trades to play. So I'm not stressing about not having him. And to be fair, he started at 515K. He got himself all the way down to 337K, and he's pushed himself from 337K in 4 weeks to 534. So to me, that just tells me no. I get it, but no.
Yep.
Doesn't that just tell you the story of Jack Bostock's Supercoach year? It started basically where he's gotten back to after 15 rounds.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, he did something quite similar last year too. I think we all got off him, and then he got that 131. The following weeks after the 131, against the Knights and the Cows, so relatively easy teams fixture-wise, he scored 24 and 20, and then immediately basically lost everything that he just made. So yeah, anything can happen with Bostock, man. He's a high flyer. He can put up a big score, but he can put a low one up. So
and something happened on the weekend that's not going to happen very often. Herbie passed the ball
4 times.
4 times. So that's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen often. That's why Bostock has not scored very well all year, because that hasn't happened every year. Like it just doesn't happen. So I get it. If you're sitting in the range of 16, 17 trades, like I could say do it, and I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to do because you've got that extra trade. But when you're like us at the moment, around 13, 14, I've even seen some lower. This is a trade that you're doing that you're going to have to do again in a few weeks' time, more than likely. He may come out and kill it and keep getting 80s and stuff like that. The likelihood of that happening is unlikely. So to me, the bigger percentage play here is you're getting him in, you're making your money, you're trading him out. That's 2 trades. And you're also making the money, but also using that money to make another trade. So you're 3 trades. Right. So instantly it's you just got to think about these sorts of things as you make these moves, particularly at this time of the year. For me, I'm making trades. If I'm going to go and make cash for someone, I'm dropping someone all the way down, which is why I like the Jed Stewart play and doing something like that, or trying to nuff out. And I'm also trying to get guns. Now, this is where I'm, and most of us should be. And I think this is why my rise has started to happen now, is because my team is settled. Like I'm getting these guys in that I'm going to keep for the rest of the year. And I'm only having to fix problems and extra numbers and stuff. That's what we need to be focused on. And Bostock's not that play, in my view. But I'm not like, there'll be people who'll comment and go, what are you talking about? It's like, we get it. I get the money's going to be made. I just don't like the amount of trades you've got to have.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
No, that's fair. So just going back on your comment about Herbie passing, I wish he didn't. Imagine me coming on right now, captaining him after 5 tries. I'd be coming on you naked. It'd be an R18 plus version, and I'd just be goodness me. Anyway, that's just a thought to just have everyone out there. So next up, Rabbitohs versus the Storm. For the Bunnies, Lewis Dodd starts at 5'8". Graham Walker and Kalomatangi amongst the reserves after the news came out that he did have a facial fracture. So Who knows what's happening there? Is that where South have got to at the moment? They got that few troops have to start naming some injured players on their reserves, or is there something happening there that we don't know about? So who knows? Who knows? Is he playing with a helmet? Is he going on with an American style helmet, Kaloa Matangi, just to do it for us super coaches, please? Kaloa, do it.
Clobber Matangi, they call him.
Clobber.
Oh, wow.
There's the caption for the podcast this week. Clobber Matangi.
Love it.
For the Storm, they have named all their the Origin contingents at the moment. Just keep an eye on what's to come there. Bronson Garlic does join the bench. Any discussion points here, boys?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we'll speak a bit more about Keon soon when it comes to the 2RF side of things, so I might leave that side of things alone. That's kind of the majority of the discussion, to be fair, out of this one. It's good to see the Storm obviously backing up as they are. Like, it's a really good week for, any Storm players, particularly a captain on like a Pappenhausen, for example. The Rabbitohs seem to concede the most points to fullbacks out of anyone in the league. So definitely a temptation.
After game one, though, they were all named to play, and then there was like 2 late outs before they played that game. So just keep an eye on late mail for this one. I have a feeling at least 1, maybe 2 of these Origin players won't be playing.
Hopefully Grant doesn't. Munster has to, though, for my side and many others. Yeah. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that then, eh? Keep it moving.
We'll see. Trav, anything to add to this one for now?
Not really. Like, there's a few talking points. I don't think Munster backs up this weekend. I think he sits this one out. I think he plays 19. That's just, I don't have any. That's just me with my opinion. I think Jerome Hughes is a gun. He's certainly on people's radars. We'll talk about that soon. I think the list, I think it's interesting because they've dropped Sewer. So Sewer's now back to the reserves. Warbrick's still not in. Most of this is not Supercoach relevant other than a couple of bits that I said at first. But it's just, the point is that there's a few things in the works, I think, that might happen. So, yeah, just take this Storm team for a grain of salt and just wait moving forward.
Yep, for sure. Broncos against the Sharkies, Suncorp Stadium, Sunday, 2 p.m. For the Broncos, Karapani named on the wing once again. Cobbo amongst the reserves. Absolutely no idea what is going on there, but clearly things are not all rosy in the Broncos and Cobbo camp. For the Sharkies, Hiroti has been sidelined due to that calf injury. I've looked everywhere this afternoon, but there is no news yet on what the time frame is for that. I don't know why they're being secretive. Yeah.
4 to 6.
Is that confirmed, somebody? Or because the Sharkies haven't confirmed it. They've been shocking with their injuries. I looked on their website. Nothing about Iro. Nothing about Hiroti. Just,
I think that was physio mentioned.
Physio said 4 to 6. Yeah, I haven't seen anything official from the club, but I've seen 4 to 6 everywhere when it comes to him. So
I don't know why the Sharkies are doing this. They've been pretty bad all year with their injuries, to be honest. They haven't been giving much regarding any of their players, which I don't really get. But anyway,
even Talakai.
Yeah, Talakai is in the centres, so starting in the centres, which has piqued a few people's interest, and Dan Atkinson slots onto the bench. And then before this game, boys,
a couple of cheapies coming out. Potential there. I like Karapani. I do. I think he's obviously he's got one more week to see what his price rise will come in at, but he scored 88 in his first game. I genuinely think we're not going to see Cobbo again in a Broncos kit.
Ooh.
I think he's done personally, but we'll see what happens there. If he is done, Karapani does become a really good option. But then I'd also worry about Mariner popping his head in as well. So they've got options, and as well Talakai. Talakai comes into the mix too. He's a jewel. He's cheap. I think traditionally at Senator, he's averaged about 50, 55. Quite a few games of reference as well. He's super damaging. He's a bloody wrecking ball. So, he becomes an option, but I don't like it. There's just something that turns me off about Talakai as a trade in general. I just don't think it's anything long-term. And we're talking about, limited trades. So, Yeah, there's an option there. Even still, Ramian didn't have a massive week last week. He's still quite cheap, but again, he's probably cheap for a reason. It seems this year it doesn't look like he's really hitting his strides. And outside of that, Sharks have got some woes.
Ramian scored 45, but he got
Oh,
sin
he got
bin,
binned.
remember?
Yeah, he got binned too. So yeah, not too bad.
So
Not
it's a
too bad,
decent score if he
considering.
doesn't. I like the Talakai play, but again, it's kind of like what I was saying about Bostock. Only is 230k cheaper. It's that it's 4 to 6 weeks, and then we're all hoping like hell that he actually scores pretty well because you're going to trade him out again. Like once Roddy comes back in 4 weeks, like that's his spot. Talakai is literally just a place getter. So hopefully he's making that to make that trade. You're hoping Talakai comes out and blitzes it. Makes it to 250k price rise, and you're selling him at 550. Like that's what you're hoping for, and I don't see that. Although he is on a good side, he is on a decent side, but I don't on the good side. But yeah, I don't see it. Very keen on Karapani. I'm going to watch him very closely, and I think the Sharks is a good matchup for him to see what that's like. And then on an off Supercoach play, I really hate what they're doing with Cobbo. Cobbo is not the person to be calling Madge to be making a point, but we can talk about that tomorrow on the live show. But yeah, it just dumbfounds me what they're doing. Oh no, we're not. So yeah, either way, it's
make your point.
Yeah, no, because it's not Supercoach relevant. But Selwyn Cobbo is not the point to be proven. Not the player that Madge should be making a point to prove. He played one, poor game. Yeah, it just makes no sense. And what it does is it creates a whole heap of shit around the Broncos that I don't want to deal with. And that's why I'm kind of very tentative, not wanting to go anywhere near those Broncos boys. Because if I looked at, to me, Selwyn Cobbo is a freak. Like, I would love to see him in the Origin team. I just, even what I think he's played well enough for most of the year to be put on the Origin team. So it makes no sense. So I'm very hesitant about those Broncos boys.
Billy started this demise when he dropped him from Origin last year. Ever since that happened, he's just been slowly going downhill. So see what happens there.
Seems like a going trend with him dropping players and their careers just dropping off.
Just gets drops. You get a drop, you get drops. Look out. Just on the 4 to 6 week plays, by that time, I think the way a lot of us are going, we're going to have trades left. So you get Talakai in at the moment, you're just going to have him in your team until the end of it. So I don't think there'll be much trading going on in about 6 weeks' time. Everything will be done. Everyone will be sitting there just going, please don't get injured, just watching games in their rocking chair, just shaking, just hoping there's no injuries.
100%. Seems like it.
Roosters against the Cowboys. For the Chookies, not too much. So Toya, Collins, Watson, and Crichton and Lenu have all been named to back up. Just keep an eye on that. Obviously, a later game, so more likely to back up. Nwanga Nigatasi has shifted to the wing, while Dom Young has joined the Knights. So I think that'll be his spot moving forward. And Feketi has taken Victor Radley's spot due to his head knock, and I'm guessing Radley, shout out to him, hope he's doing okay and gets what he needs treatment-wise, but I think he'll be out for at least a few weeks now, and the Roosters generally take these pretty seriously and always put the player first, which I really love and agree with. So, just keep a shout-out for that one there, but I think he'll be away for a while. The Cowboys, just the 2 players returning from suspension. Vailea replaces Braden Burns while Johnny Bateman slots back into the back row. All their Origin players have been named to back up. Just quickly, I'll start with this one, just with the Roosters side of things. Nwanga Nituasi back on the wing and potentially staying there for the run home has me pretty interested. I like that.
You almost traded him in like a month ago.
Yeah.
I know. And then him going to the centre pushed me away, and now I'm back in.
Well, he's had a few down weeks, so it's probably a good thing you hadn't got him in, to be fair.
In the centre.
Now in the centre, yeah, he's back. He's back. So his price, what is he at the moment? Sorry, I haven't even looked him up yet. 624k. I don't mind that. 122 break even. It's quite high. It is against the Cows.
Oh shit.
So what did we just see happen last week?
Play defense against those boys.
Yeah. So again, we did see like they went off on the left side. It was Bostock and Herbie. But again, Azarko, when he scored 80 something points, half of it was in kicks. He's on the right. Mark's on the right. Yeah, like he's shown that he can just perform really well without having that massive ceiling. Like it's a very consistent 70 to 90, it seems, out of Mark's scores. I like it. Hey, it's 624. I think that's good value for him. But you could get him cheaper in a week.
Yeah, I'll be waiting at least a week, but he's tickled my fancy back on the wing.
It's coming back to a reasonable price point where you can buy him again too. For the Roosters side, looks good. Really like Sua Wong has insane base numbers, man. He went off at the beginning of the year with those base numbers and had a bit of a lull period. Now he's back doing it again. And he's not a bad price either. He's low 500s. Angus Crichton's getting really close to finding his way back in my side. Scores are relevant. I just think what his price is coming into for the pedigree, he's getting to his own. So, yeah, there's some options there coming for the Roosters. For the Cows, I don't know. The full strength side. See if they do it again. But yeah, it's a bit they've got some problems, hey. Maybe it's just the Origin thing. Maybe they just got too many outs and they're just feeling the pressure of it all.
Yeah, here's a funny one for you. So, where on the ladder are the Roosters?
Below the Cowboys.
You should know your own team. No, they're 8th. And where on the ladder are the Cowboys?
10th. Same.
10th. You know, there's 9 dudes playing Origin in this game. And that's where they're positioned.
Wow.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Bloody hell.
Well, to be fair, Queensland's pretty desperate. So,
but again, you look at the ladder and it's between, what is it, 6th and last. You're only, 3 wins away. So
yeah.
Talk about
it's just insane. And then the other one to talk about quickly is bloody Scott Drinkwater. Man.
Yeah.
I hate being a Scott Drinkwater owner. I really do. It's so frustrating. I wanted to trade him out last week and then went, oh, yeah, but I need the number. I want the numbers. He's playing all the way through. Like, it's, oh, my God. And then he pushes out a crappy 33, which we kind of knew was going to happen because there's so many boys and that are playing Origin. And I said it when I bought him. I'm buying him with reservations because I know he scored 200s and for me, and I get it, but I knew that come Origin this was what was kind of going to happen, and it bloodies played out. But then we all talked ourselves into it, going, yeah, but he's Drinkwater, he'll get around it, like he'll have to step up and play and do. And he just hasn't, and he sucks balls, man. It's so bad, and I just hate it. I really hate it. I hate what he's doing, and I want him out of my team, and I just can't do it.
Well, I suppose realistically, there's not many other fullbacks you'd rather have next to Teddy and Pap.
I'll put him in the flex and get freaking pain ass.
So, like, I was going to say, just flex him out. There's no other fullbacks right now that are really standing out to me, unless
Teddy and
you
Pap,
get it
simply.
Well, yeah, they're the two, but like at this stage, I'm pretty sure we all have
them. Yep.
Them, sweet.
Yep, we do now. I'm a Teddy Esco owner after last week. But
beautiful. Yeah, it's tricky, man, isn't it? Because he can do it. He can go big, and he saw it last week. Not last week, sorry, the week before that. He got 105 against Melbourne, and you go, "Oh, it's Drinkwater. He can do it against anyone." And then he comes out and scores 33 points. Again, he was out for 13 minutes of that with a HIA, I'm pretty sure too. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think I'll just keep him.
Well, yeah, we're going to have to.
Ride the freaking wave. It sucks.
Just ride it. It is what it is. But, God, I wish I could get him out.
Worst case, he gets flexed out. It's all good.
Yeah, 800, 700K fullback.
700K now. He's 706.
Yeah, well,
oh, my God. He lost 900. Yeah, so did I. It's so annoying. I bought him at 822. But, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, moving on. Last game.
Game of the round. Game of the round. Everyone get excited for 6:15 Sunday afternoon.
Battle of the Spooners. Eels against the Titans. Good luck if you're heading out there, freezing cold conditions on a Sunday night at 6:15. Plenty of other places I'd probably rather be, even being a Parafin. For the Eels, Hawkins back in the 7 jumper with Mitch Moses out through injury once again. Again, thank you very much for just playing Origin. Really love it for our team. Josh Papali, I should say, at 5'8". So a brand new halves pairing there. For the Titans, and Zach Lomax has been named to back up. For the Titans, Tino and Fodawaker both named on the bench to back up. David Fafita has been named at 18th man. Wow. And Brian Kelly has been dropped for Jojo Fafita, who also returns from a hand injury. Okay. Anything on this one?
These teams are rubbish.
Nothing. Oh, nothing.
No, there's nothing.
Nothing.
There's not this. Yeah, there's nothing. The Eels losing both their halves isn't ideal, especially as a Lomax owner. I'm a little worried,
Yeah.
but I probably wouldn't be rushing to buy him
No.
as far as it goes. But if you've got him, lock him in and just see what
Ride the
happens.
wave.
Ride the wave. Yeah, it can't be that bad. Lomax is good enough to get it done.
You guys like to have that with a few of your players. You're just hoping to ride waves.
Yeah, that's all I can do now. Once I'm out of trades in about 4 weeks' time, I won't have a choice anyway. So,
All righty,
yeah.
take it away, Jesse.
All right. So it's more of just a discussion, really. I was talking to Trav earlier about it, and I will throw it to you guys very soon anyway. But the 2RF situation at the moment, there's been a couple of outs, a couple of big outs, heavy ownership, very popular players. And unfortunately, at this time of the year, there's not too many viable replacements. We see a lot of Origin affected guys. Hudson Young, Angus Crichton, Yo, Tino, Carrigan, Fafita of the past. Obviously, he's got his own problems too when it comes to getting selected. But there's a lot of these players traditionally that we always kind of flock to as season hold keepers, but they're not that this year. And I feel like the wave of second row forwards that have come up to kind of take their place, it's not as deep. And especially when we've got, you look at the ownership percentage in the top 10% for second row forwards. I have all of them in that top pack. So basically, let me just bring those numbers up. Dylan Lucas is number one in the top 10%. He's 92.7% owned. Tino's number two, and I do have him in my 2RF, 82%. Keon's number three, 82% essentially, and not really dropping, which is good to see. Eli Katoa, 80%. Zach Hosking, 45%. That's how harsh the drop off is from the top 2RFs straight down. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, off a cliff, down to 40%. And then after that, you've got, you do have Ola Kawatu there at 41, but he's just been traded out by 30%. So you can consider him in that 6 or that top 5. Doesn't leave a lot of room for pods when it comes to your forward position. And then you start thinking about the players that we had last season. Yo, his 70-point game minimum every single week. We have not seen anything close to that from him this year. So you kind of take him off the board. Angus Crichton was the number one 2RF last year. He's not there at the moment. He's in the mid 500s, not really scoring too amazing. Plus, at the moment, very affected by Origin, so he's not a trade-in. Aaron Clark stood up kind of out of nowhere, come from the cloud. So you've got this second wave of players coming through, and I had a list. I'll just find what I've written up here. So Origin affected Supercoach forwards that we've got, and I will lump in the front rows, a couple of them, just because we've got a lot of jewels. Haas, Tino, Carrigan, Hudson Young, and then at a stretch, Crichton and Yo. They're the Supercoach guys that I think right now selected by the teams are the ones that you would probably want to have in your side. Carrigan out of stretch too. Injury affected, we've lost Ola Kawatu now for 6 weeks? Probably. I don't know. I see 6 weeks. I'm like, geez, man. Surely it's longer than that. I think they're just going to try him out, rehab him, and see what happens. So fingers crossed it's not. News come out. Keon is day to day, touch and go with his facial fracture. It doesn't seem to be as bad as expected. So he's going to be a hold. So that's nice. But Barnett's gone Barnett out for the season.
Yep.
Yep.
ACL.
Max Plath, ACL, out for the season. Yep. Gone as well. Fafita, Dave Fafita, he's back in there, 18th man. Who knows when he's going to get a run back in the side? Underperforming players, not performing to the standard we've seen the last couple of years. Nakora, barring last week's big score, Trav traded him in a few weeks ago. He's traded him back out. we're just not seeing it. He had a run at the beginning of the year scoring heaps of tries and still only averaging 60, which is what he's been doing in the past quite easily. Again, I mentioned Angus Crichton, Hopgood is a big one, very popular player for the last 2 years. Most teams, I saw a lot of teams starting with him. I started with him, traded him out in round 2, round 3. It just wasn't happening. So there's one gone. Bit of a pod, Jaden Sewer, very impressive last year. Hasn't really done too much more with it this year as well. So that's a lot of players, you know what I mean? Like that's a really deep pool of second rowers that we don't have as options anymore. And when injuries start popping up like they are at the moment, you look at these other fellas coming through. So Aaron Clark is a massive one. A lot of people are heavy on Aaron Clark. Joel's got him. Neither Trav or I have him at the moment. I don't know what Trav's plans are trade-wise, but he's been great. He's been really good to anyone that got on him early. But again, it's just like, you're going to buy him now at that premium price. You kind of have to, because I don't feel like there's anyone else you can really get that in there. Dylan Lucas, obviously, everyone already has him. Kikau, I think Kikau's a very underrated, popular player that hasn't really been mass traded in, but he's scoring pretty much more than all these other dudes are. Preston, potentially, looks like an absolute gun at the top as well. Bo Fermor is a nice price now with his duel, and obviously Eli Katoa, the man. He's got to be the guy. Joel, you've got a lot of these dudes already. So you have Lucas, you've got Keon, you had Ola, and now I've lost him to injury. Where are you sort of going with your second row, man? Because going off those numbers that I mentioned earlier, especially ownership-wise, is there anyone that's sort of standing out to you as a replacement for him that you actually don't already have?
Well, to just let you quickly know who I do have, I have Lucas, Ola, Nikora, Kalamatangi, Tino, and I've still got Hosking as well. So obviously, I think with that Ola injury, I want to get rid of him. He'll be my player. I actually have Aaron Clark as well, but he's in my front row at the moment because I did trade out Payne Haas at the start of this Origin series to then bring him back once that is finished. So I'm riding Aaron at the moment. I think he's doing a pretty good job for me to cover that loss of Payne Haas. So I think Eli Katoa's the big one. Obviously, Storm have used all 3 buys now. So for me, he's the one that I'm looking at the moment. Really, really keen to get part of that. I like what they've got coming up as well. And I just think, to be fair, I know like he's been going well this year, but I feel like there's still that extra bit to his game. And I feel like that's going to come now that they're probably in their mind, they've got all their 3 buys used. We're going to start seeing the Melbourne Storm step up now. They're to be really honest, I think they're a little bit behind the other 3 teams that are ahead of them on the ladder at the moment from what we've seen so far. They won't like that, and I love that from a Supercoach point of view because I think some of these players will start really stepping up, and that means some of their scores will really start to happen. So Katoa's the big one for mine. I hate the team he's in, but Bo Fermor's up there as well for me. I like the dual side of it. I think that really is helpful, and he's not that he's not priced that high at the moment. So I do like Fermor as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Fermor 588k at the moment. I would almost say he's kind of gotten to his point where he's essentially bottoming out. His break even 72, but he's basing in the 60s most weeks, and he's a dual 588k. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think another thing that we do have to look into as well, and it does come up because we still have a major buy left, and we still have a mini buy left as well. The next major buy has a lot of good players that are missing. So let me just find the photo of the buys that I had a look at before. So the Knights, the Titans, the Panthers, the Sharks, Eels, Warriors, and the Dolphins. So you've got a few of those dudes in your 2RF at the moment. Pretty much all of them, actually. It seems like, just off the top of my head, are not going to be missing for that run. So injuries now for players that would have played in the bye, the replacements don't. The replacements to these guys aren't playing in the next buy, the ones that you're probably going to trade in. Trav, you've got a couple of jewels in play. And I think most players will or might do, depending on where Lucas is positioned, whether it's your 2RF or your center wing. I believe Lucas is in your center wing. In a situation like this, I feel like it's best case scenario, to be honest with you, with the way that the forwards are looking. Gives you the chance to open that whole door avenue up to the center wing section. And is there anything that you've got going in your center wing at the moment as an Olakau'atu owner as well for replacements?
Yeah, so I'm an Olakau'atu owner. He'll be traded. I'm also a Koula Matangi owner, and I will keep him based off that news. So I will do that. I'll take a step back. So round 18, I actually have 15 numbers with Olakau'atu playing, but every option that I'm looking at to trade Olakau'atu is not playing 18. So that'll give me 14 now. That's assuming that Koula Matangi comes back for that. So for by round 18. So if Koula Matangi plays for 18, I've got 14 all very happy starters for round 18. So I'm okay. And I'll manage that Olakau'atu. Now to then talk about what I'm thinking. And I'll lead this off with a question. Who's scoring more points at the moment, 2RF or centre wing?
Center wing.
And who's scored more points all years, 2RF or centre wing?
Definitely center wing.
So to me, I've got an opportunity here to push Lucas from the center wing up, trades Olakau'atu at 660k, and almost have most of the center wingers that I don't have at an option here. So like this is where, and I know he's on a buy this week, but this is how I get Carraz kind of thing, like with money that I've got in the bank. There's just a lot of options that I've got to play with that. And then leaving Aiken in my center wings gives me that option to go back and forth now. So I can play with the different duels and do all those sorts of things. So I think if you've got, like I am, where this was kind of a play, and I've been saying this for weeks, that I was always just waiting for this moment to get another center in. That's why I left Lucas in the centers, so that I could then push him up, and I trade one of the 2RFs out and bring it and fix that problem. So, yeah, that's definitely a really good ploy.
Yeah, I feel like if you've got one or two, like there's 3 really good dual center wing 2RFs, and you've got Lucas obviously is the number 1, Aiken, awesome player, and Fermor. For the 3 of them, I feel like you can have either in those 2 positions, the 2 positions between the 3 of those guys. And their base numbers are going to at least keep the floor up. But I think, you just obviously want that ceiling out of your centers. I just thought it was worth touching into, because I did look into the injuries that were coming through. And we'll get into the trades in a minute. They're all forwards. Like pretty much everything's a forward. It all revolves around Eli Katoa being traded in, because it is probably the best one if you don't have him already. Olakau'atu out. But I'm not really seeing a great deal of center wing movement, to be fair, considering the players around. So
That's
it's
more than likely because most people have got most of them already.
well, that's half the problem as well, and it just leaves that hole, like especially for round 18. Who are we missing in those teams? So Lucas, Pierce-Paul, who's actually been performing really well. These unavailable for the buy. Fermor won't be available. Fanua Blake, Nakora, they're not available either. Aaron Clark, Fisher Harris is really cheap, 490k. Could be appealing as well in the front row. Not available in the major buy. Herbie, Azarko, not available. So, yeah, it's quite thin. These dudes that you're going to want in as your keeper, because again, the trades are so thin now. I don't think it's worth getting in a guy to replace him for 3 weeks to then have to trade him on after that fact. So I think if you're getting a dude in now for a replacement of someone like Olakau'atu or a premium, you want someone that's going to stick around for a while, but you just have to be aware you're probably going to miss them at least once or twice in the next 4 weeks, for example. So just in a really awkward time of the year to be going through something like this, I would say. And it kind of shocked me, to be fair, the ownership skew, how heavy it is. Everyone's got the same 2RF pack. It's almost like you have to. Or is that a position you just don't worry about potting and just stick with those 5 that are going well and just look elsewhere?
I think it depends
Sure.
where you are at in terms of if you're an overall player and you're sitting probably anything after about 17, 18K, I reckon, you got to start going pods. There's no point in getting all these same guys in and you're just going to sit there getting the same sort of results that what's happening. Like I spoke to one of the guys in our chats, obviously, shout out to you, Jared, who keeps just killing everyone's players. Just ridiculous. But I sort of said like the same thing to him, and he agreed with it. The fact that if you are down in those sorts of if you are wanting to climb, you need to take risks now. You need to go to these guys that are pod numbers and stuff. There's no point trading out Ola and just going to one of these popular guys because it's going to do nothing for you. It's just going to keep you there. Everyone's going to get the same points. You're at the stage now, and it might seem still a little bit early to normal years, but I feel like this year's not a normal year in Supercoach. You're going to have to pull the trigger now, and it's time to start getting these pod guys in and looking at those numbers, and that's what your trades are at. But if you are not, if you're in the opposite to that and you're in the top sort of K and you are fighting and things like that, then you do need these guys because they're the ones pulling the numbers. So it's less of a risk, yes, but you still need to make sure you're getting these consistent numbers on a weekly basis. And these guys have proven they can do it without the risk. Now, there is some players who will be in those top 4, 5K or something and think, you know what, I still would I don't really care. I'm just going to go out with a bang here. So they'll do the pod plays, and I love that. That's a really good way to play it. Even between like us three, for instance, I reckon it's going to get to the stage soon where we want to beat each other. So one of us or two of us will start to do one or two of these little pod play sort of trades just to go, you know what, we need to start pulling the trigger. Because like Trav said at the start of this podcast, we've all got pretty identical teams now, or very similar to it. It's only decided by 3 or 4 players. And I think as we get closer to the end, that gap might stretch out to 5, 6, 7 players. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. There are players out there that you've got to have. Like Herbie, I've realized I had to have, so I brought him in last week and warranted there's 150. Like there are dudes that I've identified that I need to have, because if I don't have them, that pack's just going to grow much further away from me. But you are right. And this is something I said 3 weeks ago on the pod about my situation was, and I was sitting about 17K. And I said, I've got to make a couple of different pod moves and do it. And I'm happy to, if I do that and I blow out to 30 and 40K, but I can do it saying I died trying kind of thing. And that's where I wanted to do it. And some of those moves, like bringing Osako in early when only 900 others did it across the whole of Supercoach, like that really helped. That's helped. So like whilst people were bringing in Osako last week, I scored his 130 odd the week before and already had him. So I was able to bring in Herbie last week and Teddy, and off I went. So like there's been other little bits and pieces that have really helped me to get to why I'm now just under 10K now and being able to grow that because of those pod moves, and they need to keep happening. And I'm going to keep doing that and keep moving. And so the point that you're making there, Joel, is absolutely valid and something that we all, I think you're either, like there are some people who are just going to be like, yeah, cool, this is my highest rank, I want to float there, and that's fine, sit at the but I don't want to do that. I want to get really high. So if I don't get really high, I'm also happy to get really low doing that play. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. And so I agree totally.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually funny looking at the overall stats too, and you think about like, you got to get these pod guys to be the differential player to try and push yourself up the ranks. There's only 7 dudes in the 2RS at the moment averaging over 70. Aaron Clark's teetering on that at 69.8, but there's 7 above 70, and Keon's 7th. And his last month has been tons. So that just shows as well. He was rolling around the 50s for a long time this year until he's moved to prop. So it's a bit tricky trying to find that dude because, realistically, if you're not going with any of those 7 players averaging 70, you're doing yourself out of actual better scores. Like majority of these other guys aren't scoring as well. And it's quite noticeable, but every now and then you get a massive week from a random super low owned player. Piss Paul can go huge. Sua Wong had a big week, got a try somehow. That's a score that not a lot of people would have had. So Nakora 108, like you take these massive things when they come, but again, the consistency is the difference. Where you just go down to center wing and you look at it, and there's probably 15 dudes averaging over 70 at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of just where I wanted to touch on it. It's definitely something to consider. And like Hudson Young, not really owned by a lot of people in any top pack, Origin affected. I feel like he's a pod. He's still a pod. And he's the best 2RF this season. I think
Scored the most points, has the best average.
Yeah, 82.8. 3-round average of 89, and he hasn't really slowed at all. So find a way. He's your pod for now. And I think maybe the price might deter some people if making it hard if they've traded Haas out and they want Haas back. There's an avenue right there. Haas 90% plus owned. Hudson Young, scoring the exact same thing, sometimes more, much less. So there's alternatives to really big players. You want to touch on the trade in and outs?
Sure.
Shoot.
Ola Kawatu. Gone.
Shock me.
Top
Unbelievable.
10%.
Top 10%. Yeah, 33% of the top 10% out. So, yeah, I think we just spent a bit of time on that discussion there with him. Obviously, he's definitely a trade out, in my opinion. I don't know. I've seen some people talking about holding him. I would not hold him. I don't think he's... Yeah, I think even after he comes back, he might still have instability stuff going on in his head. Maybe it's just not a nice injury to come back from. So, hard trade out. Just who to, we just spent half an hour talking about it. Anything on him?
At the moment, it's straight to Katoa, and more than
Easy
half
one.
of the people in the top 10% have done that. So that's an easy one. Nah, other than that, that's a no-brainer.
Yep. Joel?
No.
No.
Basically echo that. Katoa. Thank you.
Yeah. Number 2 is Nathan Cleary, funnily enough. Haven't seen a lot of chatter around him, but again, he's not backing up. We spoke about this last couple of weeks. He's going to play next week, most likely, as the one game in his 4 this month. So,
and then he misses 18 and 19, and doesn't he? Am I right? No, he plays 19 and he should back up for Paris, in as he's not backing up this weekend. So he should do that. He plays the Bulldogs next week, which is obviously the concern. That's why people are trading him out. Just to me, like, if you've held him this long, why are you trading him out now? Just continue to hold him.
Yep. I would say so too. I was going to say just then, it's a late hold. Like, the trade out time was probably around 11 if you wanted him out for the, to maximize it, or last week or the week before. Like, you've got 2 weeks before he's back in the team. So
most of it's being traded straight to Hughes, making 160K.
Fair.
Going to play the next 3 rounds. I see it. I get it, 160K, but I mean, I just, you knew he wasn't going to play. Everyone knew he wasn't going to play this game. So if you're still holding him, just keep holding him.
Are you holding him, Joel?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I definitely can understand what you're saying, but we'll go on the other side of the fence and just be like, well, it is Cleary. We've seen what he's done in the last couple of years with his body and things like that, not being able to hold up. It's doing well so far. Fingers crossed for us owners that it continues. I can also understand there was all talk about 3 from 4 not playing. I think the way Ivan Cleary's reacted to them not being able to back up this week would ensure they back up against the Eels. So it's probably only 2 from 4 now, not 3 from 4. It is against the Dogs next week. The Dogs look like they're back after that Dolphins hiccup. So it's basically getting him out now for that little 3-week. So it is 3 weeks in the end because he won't be playing Origin. Yeah, so it is 3, sorry. So yeah, 3. So it is 3 from 4. I do get it, and I do get it to Hughes. That probably would be the play that I would make as well. I'm definitely not going to just say don't do it. I can understand it, but at the same time, it's Nathan Cleary. The Panthers are now, in the frame for a run to the top 8. So while they're in that frame, he'll play whenever they can, and we know what he's been able to do in the past. He can just get points for being out there. They're starting to get all their troops back as well, the Panthers, so that should help him as well. I can see, and especially with some of these injuries now, it probably makes holding Cleary a little bit easier to do and a bit more sense. Where probably a week ago, I was probably going to sell him this week. I'm now not.
I think, it's dependent on the team situation and how many plays you've got and how many you're missing. Because he is easy money, especially to Hughes. I just think, by now, you're gonna be so limited by the time you're gonna want him back trade wise that it's not gonna happen. So if you do have him, I'd probably just stick strong. Hey, you've done the hard yards. You've dealt with a buy or two already with him. He's only got one more actual buy. He's got Origin. You should hold up. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very tricky one, but I would, in my position, if I had him, I'd still be holding. But traded him a
Because
long time
I've
ago.
got Nico as my second, and I'm sure a few out there would be in the same situation. Nico plays next 2 weeks, even though it has not been fun watching Nico at the moment. So I can understand maybe looking there. But then on that last major buy, he actually has a buy as well. So that means you're going to that with no halfback, which is not ideal. That's the other way you can look at it. People trying to just do the storm run at the moment's pretty nice compared to what
Yeah, but it's only
Nico
13
has.
players. Don't this notion of I won't have a halfback is still only around when you only need 13 players, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
Doesn't hurt
halfbacks
you.
also can score quite nicely, so it'd always be nice to have those. Like, I mean, Hughes in that buy round against the Cowboys, I would be
Again.
almost saying right now he's going to score 100 plus with ease. So
Yeah,
that'd
that's
be
why
very nice to have.
if you've got Hines and Cleary, I'd be trading Hines.
Yeah.
If you had to
Oh, he's
pick
on the
one for
list.
the
We'll talk
change,
about him
I'd be
soon.
like,
He's on the list.
yeah, I know you've got money to make when you go Cleary down, but yeah, Hines just doesn't look it. Number 4, Tommy Turbo. So he was a popular trade in a couple of weeks ago. People, throwing the dice and seeing if they could get the best out of him out of nowhere. It didn't happen. He's dropped more coin. He's 485K.
485.
485 for
Wow.
Tommy Turbo. He's currently averaging 53.9. You know what that tells me?
And he's been moved to the centers.
He's been moved to the centers. So maybe, just maybe, we might get a 500K dual position Tommy Turbo next year. Maybe.
Well,
There's
we'll
every
definitely get him at fullback.
Oh, he'll definitely be a fullback at the very least. But
Yep.
there's a chance if he plays the rest of the season out at center and he doesn't get named at center next year, it'll be outrage. And it will be just done so that we don't all start with Tommy Turbo at center for less than 500K.
According to the rules, he has to be because he'll have played more than enough games.
Yeah, but then look at the players that got the duels, like Ponga with his dual 5'8", he didn't keep that.
But he didn't play enough. He didn't do that enough last year.
But he got
I'm pretty
the
sure
duels.
Supercoach can decide if it's realistic that they play that position coming into that season. They can alter it.
Plus as well, I think even with Latrell's one, with his moves around to everywhere, I think even if he got another duel, they're not giving it to him the next year because it's almost it's game breaking. They're just gonna have to keep it level, break the rules.
Turbo Latrell, center wing, thank you.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, so there's every chance. I moved to the centers for him could be good. Last year he got moved to the center for one game, and then after that we know what happened. You know what I mean? He went on a massive run. I think it was like 6 or 7 games over 100. So yeah, it's he's just very, very cheap, but he's very unappealing. He looks too busted. So trading out at that price, I'd hate to do it. Genuinely, I'd hate to do it. Who's the most traded out popular? It's Bostock. It's trying to make some of that money back. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So it's a
you're losing
50K.
money.
Yeah, well, you've lost obviously a shit ton depending on how long you've had him for, but you're spending 50K on Bostock from Turbo to then make 150K. So in that trade in itself, you've only netted 100 potentially. It's just things to consider because you've got, we can get into the Bostock thing on the trade-ins. Yeah, I think you just got to look at how much you're spending to get these big cashies. Number 5, Hiroti. What a shitter. That sucks. I traded him in last week. Wasn't on my radar until that pod, and then I was like, ooh, I'm tempted now, and I killed him. So 373K. I think there's a couple of cheapies emerging. I don't know. It's a bit too far to go to a Bostock for some reason. I see a lot of people doing that. You're spending over 150K to make 150K. It's just pointless. But yeah, look, Karapani could be a go. Jed Stewart could be a go. It's a bit late in the season to look at cashies, or you just nuff him out. Yeah. Who's got Hiroti? All of us?
Yep.
Yeah, you killed him.
I've had Hiroti all year.
Yeah.
Hiroti will be back in 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm tempted to just sit him in the number 7 spot at my center wings and just see what happens later on. That or I go down to Stewart, who's 198K, make 180K, and then hopefully Stewart either becomes a scoring option or he nuffs out, I don't mind. So what I don't want to do is I just want to make sure that whatever it is, I've been pretty good with avoiding annoying AEs. So I don't want to have some crappy AE option. So I'm just going to be mindful of that. That's why I'm not getting Stewart. And I'm going to watch Karapani again for a week because I just don't want crappy AE options. But so I'll see. But he'll probably over the next few weeks be one of those two as a sneaky little 180 cash grab for some other things to do later on.
Yep. I think that's probably the best plan for Harodi and Harodi owners. Just maybe sit on him a week if you can. Number 6, Nicholas Hines. So he's been... It's hard to say he's been terrible because he has not been terrible. He's actually been all right. Obviously, the dynamic between him and Trindle is ever present. It's constant a battle between the two of them. Who's running the team this week? His scores have been decent, but not Nico Hines decent, and not really, depending on what you bought him for. Not kind of what you're after. 57 last week. It's nothing exceptional, but it's not shit. 48 the week before, it's not that great, but 68, 63, 76, then he had his big 117, happens once every 7 weeks, it seems, this year. Hasn't happened yet, but he looks like he's due, because the one before that was about the same gap. So, yeah, he's only had 2 tons, and a lot of just middling scores, but that's the halfback market this year, I feel like. It seems like it's kind of all of them are doing that same thing. Even Cleary's doing the same thing. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one to sit. I have had, when I've looked at Hines in my side, genuinely nothing about me wants to trade Nico Hines. I don't see the point of it. I don't see the reason for it. Again, he's my only actual halfback, so I am looking at halves in general. But if you're in like Joel's position here, Cleary Hines, and you want to make a move, I'd be probably moving Hines on personally. I think they got the buy in 18. Hughes doesn't. It's easy, in my opinion. Trav, looks like you had something to chime in with that.
No, well, the only thing I sort of want to say is, I mean, I get it that it's Tuesday night, but at the moment, there's only 400 that have traded him out in the top 10. That will rise a little bit, but like anyone now below that we're talking about, it's only been traded out by less than 3% and 2%. So these are really low. So these are not huge talking points at this point in time. But like, I'm a Nico Hines owner, and I'm just going to be a happy Nico Hines owner and just let it be. I'll ride the 40s and 50s. I don't have the only other one that I would like. There's 2 options here, well, 3. I'd like Cleary, but I'm not going to get him until later. Hughes would be an okay one, but again, like Hughes hasn't had a great year either. So there's a reason why he's at 600K. And then he goes and blows them up with a 136, and then that helps some things change. But there's every chance that he doesn't do that again with potential the way the Storm have been playing or whether they need that. The other one is Isaiah Katoa, and I think he's a freak, and we've all spoken about it more than often, but I still think he's a great option, but he doesn't play 18. So, so hence the reason why that's a trade that I don't need to make. I'll just sit there with the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s that Hines has got and potential to make 100 when he does, and I'll just sit there and ride that. I think there's other bits and pieces. In saying that, I just don't think trading Nico Hines is going to win you a match or lose you a match. And I don't think it's really going to change your ranks too much, to be fair.
Yep. Joe?
Yeah, I agree. Like this week as well, we just don't know what Broncos team will turn up. If it's the last week's Broncos team, Nico will probably score 30. If it's the Broncos team of the last few weeks before that, he'll probably score 100. So we just never know. At the moment, I will be holding him as a Cleary owner as well, not playing. So he'll be my halfback this week. Probably play him as well next week. If I do trade him, I might look at maybe 18 on the run home, but I'll have to look at the Sharks draw a bit closer on that run in. I do agree. I don't like what's happening there in the halves at all between him and Trindle, and I'm over it sort of just being in the way. It's just starting to really get to me. So it's not ideal. It's like it'd be one of those, but the way injuries are happening, you know what? I'll probably end up with both him and Cleary just stuck in my halves for the rest of the year, which probably isn't the worst way to do it either.
Agreed.
Yep, 100%. It's a trade you don't have to make. You'd be burning it for whatever reason. Looking in the half pool, though, funnily enough, he's the highest point scorer, and he's had the equal amount of games that he's had with Isaiah Katoa, which is very impressive for Katoa, to be right up in there too. He's the second highest. Jamal Fogarty, 914. Very little discussion around him as a replacement option for anyone looking at a half. But as far as, and I've said it forever, the Raiders have the best run home. Fogarty looks like he could be, from this point going to the end of the season, I reckon there's a very good chance that he's the highest point scoring half from like this round now to round 27, potentially. But yeah, it's just, all it's done for me now, I reckon, is I've just lost all confidence in putting any sort of captaincy on Hines. I just don't think it's worth
just a
doing
number.
at all anymore.
He's just a number now.
He's just another halfback that you can get a relatively all right score out of most of the time. So, unnecessary trade unless he's injured. But that's kind of, honestly, I'm just going to go there. Everything else below that, kind of irrelevant for numbers and trades. They're all pretty well expected. Gutho, Billy Smith, Tamale stuff. Nothing too much. On the trade inside of things, Eli Katoa is the number one replacement for Olakau'atu. So honestly, if that's your only problem this week, I would probably just hold off any other trade.
Oh, I just want one before you go into that. I just want to talk quickly about one of the trade outs. Just Tamale. Just quickly, I've got him at the moment. I don't actually like anyone at the moment I can go to really with him. I want to look at next week. So I'll just be holding him for this week. Obviously, he's not losing money, just to echo that again to any newbies out there that don't really quite understand that, but he's obviously not playing, which means his cash stays the same. I will hold him for now. I can get by just this week. Sweating at a couple of these Origin boys do back up. But yeah, I'll be holding him for now. And then my plans are to use his cash to go next week.
Is there a world where you use him to get Bostock?
No.
Not doing that?
I have no interest in Bostock at the moment.
Fair enough, even with that cash. Tamale's at a nice price. You can do a lot with it. I'm not talking. We spent the whole beginning of the pod saying it's probably not a great idea, but again, it's an entire cash play. Yeah, you bank 30 and you can make another 150. It's not bad, but you need a lot of trades for it. Yeah, Eli Katoa. Look, I'm surprised he wasn't more highly owned to begin with, to be fair. I've seen a lot of people jumping on him now, and I suppose his ownership was already pretty good. Was it 28% overall teams, not just the top. So that's quite low considering. But yeah, welcome to Eli Katoa ownership. It's pretty bloody good. You'll enjoy that one. Number 2 is Jerome Hughes. So 609k in the halves. Obviously, their run's nice. They don't have a bye now. Their next stretch of games are actually very, promising for high upward scores against halfbacks as well. Josh did a really good post up earlier today in the Legends group about the Supercoach score map, basically averaging, highest position left to right, who to play, where to play, who to trade in and focus on. Melbourne are right up there at the moment for very popular trade-ins. So if you don't have a few of them, you probably want to get a couple because they're bound to score some big points. And yeah, Hughes is going to do it, and particularly if Munster gets a rest between now and the next bye. There's a game where he can really excel. So find a way around it. Me and Trav both have Sand and Smith sitting in our halfback too. So in that position, I'd definitely be looking at getting a half. In Joel's, I probably wouldn't. Probably hold on to those trades and enjoy the 2 guns that you've got. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at a Hughes trade this week. I'm just seeing if it's worth doing or not. What about you, Trav?
I'll talk about what I'll do later. I think he's in my plan. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we've spoken about Hughes to the nth degree already. So
yeah, cool. And we've also spoken about number 3 trade in Jack Bostock to the nth degree too. So yeah, if you've got trades and you want to make some quick coin, yes. Outside of that, don't rely on another 176 points. I don't think you're ever going to see that again. So if that's what you're trading him in for. Aaron Clark's number 4. So there's another popular Olakau'atu trade. And his ownership is still relatively low, but I would say really good prospect for it. It's just he doesn't play the bye in 18. So just one to consider. Again, you only need 13, so work around it. Aaron Clark on your radar, Trav?
Yes.
He's in your plans?
Yeah. It's only going to cost me 12k to go Ola to Aaron Clark.
Yeah, it's good. He's been
and like I said, my numbers for 18 are good. So I'm okay with what I've got for 18. So him not, my concern is bloody 19. And so I need to get a couple of dudes that's going to play 19. So this is one of them.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's almost like our pod's live at the moment because I've had 2 people message me talk about is it worth going Hines to Hughes? What are the odds of that? That's wild. They'll listen to this too and think, oh, that was about me. Number 5, Sifa Talakai. There's one I don't like. Again, this is quite low in the percentage top 10 bracket. It's only 721, 4%. So we have dropped off quite a lot, but that's a move where you're not going to really do much in 3 weeks cash wise, and then you're going to get stuck with an AE problem. I reckon that's probably the most likely outcome. Am I right?
You are. That I've said that already. Definitely. He plays Broncos, then Storm. Storm at full at Amy in 17, has the 18 bye, then plays the Dolphins, who are playing pretty bloody well. The Roosters, who are basically by then probably full strength.
Then Hirotti's back.
And then potentially Hirotti's back in that 5th week because that's round 20. So, yeah, it's not screaming to me like you got to do it, and you're doing it in the hope that he makes 250K in 4 weeks, and he's only got 3 games to do it in. Really, I don't think that's going to happen. It's not a good trade, and it's to me. And here's some scores: 31, 22, 31, -1, 27, 24, 32, 0. 47, 32, then a 50, then a 36. That just tells me lots of AE problems, and I need to avoid that. I want to avoid those things. And whilst the AE is not as big a deal this year with the flex and the way it all works, I just don't want, if I can just avoid any of those crap scores, I'm happy.
Yeah. You want to use your flex for where it's warranted, not to cancel out Talakai's score.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 6, James Tedesco. Fantastic trade in every week. Get him.
He's my number 5. Your app's weird.
That's ranked in top 10%.
Ranked top 10%. Yeah. Teddy's 6th, 695.
6 for me.
Yeah,
he's 5th for mine. 668.
You need to refresh your bloody screen.
You need to refresh, or are you ranked in top 10%?
Yes, I'm ranked.
Yeah. So obviously, since you did it, and when we've done it, there's been another 20 odd people who have got on the Teddy train already.
Good on him. Good week to get him in too, I reckon, against the Cows. I think he could do a number there. So good trade in, also good captaincy option, I would say. So yes, very much so.
Yeah, you just don't have him next week, but that's a standalone buy. So that's not a worry. I wouldn't be not trading him for that.
No, exactly right. Hudson Young, number 7. So probably doesn't back up. Doesn't back up. Surely not. Not with that turnaround. I don't think he plays big minutes, and I don't think his body's going to be, the toll won't be there physically from the game. But it's a lot of travel, which, you've got to consider too. Plus, against the Tigers, there's a probably good shout that they can afford to rest him. They've got a few fit players on the bench. Sasagi's there, pretty much ready to go. So I'll be very surprised if he does back up. If he does back up, I think he's a fantastic trade-in. That's the problem. But again, he'll play this week if he does. Then he'll play next week against the Knights. And then it's Origin, where they would have played the Dragons, unfortunately. It would have been a nice game to see him. And then up against the Eels in round 20. So their fixtures are freaking amazing. I just love every Raider prospect that looks like they can score points. I want him in as soon as possible. But I think it's probably a worthy shout because of that 19 bye. Just get him in 20 for the Eels game. That's probably just the easiest way to run.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. I don't think he backs up this Friday. It's just a lot to play tomorrow night. Recover, get on a flight. It's a 5-hour flight from Perth to Sydney, or it's 4 and a bit. Then get up and play the Tigers on Friday night. It just doesn't scream to me like he's going to. He misses 18 as well, and also 19 because that's their team bye. So you're only getting him for Newcastle really at 17 with the potential maybe. I still think even with the West Tigers and Newcastle, 2 games out of 4, I don't like. I'm not spending 788 to get a dude that's going to play 2 out of 4. I'll pay 788 to get a guy who's going to play 20 to 27.
I'm going to buy in round 24, but it's again standalone buy. Not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a standalone buy. It would be what's that semi-final in your head-to-heads, which people will, even who are overall, would be looking at some head-to-heads, which is a bit annoying, but it's still a standalone buy. You should have others. You should have a bench of some sort to cover that for one game. And by then, Hudson Young's going to be owned a hell of a lot more than 10%.
Yeah, I would say so. His pod numbers are not going to be there for too long. It's just right now while it's valid to not own him. But yeah, I've got a few friends that have owned him since we spoke about him very early in the season and have just been holding to the death and enjoying everything. So two sides of a coin there. Who else have we got on the inside? Pappenhausen. Who the hell does not own Pappenhausen already? Who doesn't own him? Like, that's madness
Half.
that he's still getting
Half.
traded.
It's 49%. Half.
Yeah, well, in the top 10%, I think it's he's up in the 90s. So yeah, it's probably a good reason why they're not in the top 10% is if you don't have Pap.
Didn't a few trade him out a few weeks ago when they had that massive BE?
Pappenhausen?
Yeah.
When he had 180.
No, his break even was was 1 point higher than Drinkwater's. So I think they had a 182 and a 183 break even.
There was a week where we spoke about him in the trade outs and we were like, don't do it, just hold him. Just ride it out. It's a roller coaster.
No one really traded him. He's dropped. He was at round 9, he was 48. Round 10, he was 48.5. Round 11, he was 50. Round 13, he's 49. So he dropped 1.2%. And then round 14, he dropped 0.2%, 49.1. So no one's dropped it. No one's
trading him. Yeah, no one's that mad. Stay on him. Yeah, cool. Get Pap. Is Pap? Oh, I'm not even going to humor the idea of it, but if you don't own Pap by now with his ownership, are you just not getting him?
Oh, jeez. I think because he's at 760K, you like the way that you're doing it, the value of where he's at, I think that's where it becomes that pod play, because the money you're getting and able to use to do other things is a difference. And then who else? It depends. Like, who are your other two? Because you've got to have two fullbacks. Like, do you then put him in the flex and then flex him out to a Haas or someone else? It's an interesting position.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
I don't think I would be doing that.
Yeah, if you have him, you're not trading him out. That's madness. But if you don't have him, yeah, I feel like you just got to get him. Just get on.
Not with their draw. And like, I get that he's got 122 break even this week, but they play South this week. Then they play the Sharks at home, like with a full team. So everyone should play it. Then it's Cowboys in 18, up there. So Cowboys will be Origin depleted. And the Storm won't be Origin depleted, but we won't have Munster and Grant, obviously, and Coates. But that's the Cowboys. And then Newcastle in 19. Then Manly, which is a shambles of a club at the moment, in 20. Like that run, it's just screaming out he's going to score hundreds every week.
Yeah, captain. I wouldn't even look at his break even. I just look at the value of Pap right now and go, I would be very happy to buy Pappenhausen at 760K. Forget whatever break even he has.
To be fair, I'll even go further. Roosters, then Para, then Broncos, then Penrith, then the Bulldogs. So 25th, round 25 is a matchup. I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't think he's going to score too well. So why? It doesn't make sense. I love that people are getting him in, that they're getting him in at 760. Well done.
Yeah. Very late in the year. Number 9, Jaden Campbell, 643K, dropped 14K last week, 106 break even against the Eels. I said last week that I thought Jaden Campbell at 650K was great value, and I think him at 643K is exceptional value. I'm very tempted for that one. He scored 87 last week, and he just sort of he always finds a way to score over 80. Best 5'8" in my opinion. So happy trade in. What do you reckon?
Yep. I agree totally. Yeah. Brought him in before he's 27 and was a happy keep him to get that 87 against Manly. Very happy to see that. He got Para, then he's got the Cowboys. He's the best 5'8", which is why I was happy to trade Munster and just push him up there, because I just think Campbell is the best 5'8", and he's going to score many more points than Munster is over since when I got him to when Munster comes back after Origin. So I'll deal with things then.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. Joel? JC?
I mean, he's a decent option, but I'll keep my Lukey Met. Thank you.
So your Munster and Metcalf still, hey? That's
Yep.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I got Munster and Burton. Good old Burton. Got me a ton. Good man. It's very hard to trade him out, but I can afford JC right now, and I'm looking at it going, oh, is it time? Number 10, Herbie Farnworth. Geez, you missed out on a big one last week, but I genuinely don't think that's the last time he does that. I don't think Bostock can do it again, but I'm pretty sure Herbie can. So, yeah. 815k. Bloody hell, he's dear now, isn't he? 24 break even. That is insane. He's just going up.
Wow.
That's a big one. He's going to have a big jump. So, yeah, this is kind of without ripping your team apart, without a boost. It's very hard to get him in at the moment. By the time you will want him in, when you do have a free boost in the next buy, he'll be close to 900k, and you probably won't want him because he's on a buy. So it's either now or never, I think.
I said this on this podcast already. Herbie is one of those guys that you just have to have, because if you don't, that's watch the pack all disappear on you. So, yep, 150. Thank you. That's the reason why I scored pretty well in a buy round last week, was because I have Herbie now.
Yeah, definitely. I've had him since I think round 5. It's just been watching him score a try every single game, basically since then to now, has just been unreal. So, yeah, again, thanks, Nicarima. We love you. That's the 10, man. That's the 10 ins and outs. So it seems pretty straightforward. Obviously, there's a lot of forward stuff going on, and a lot of just chasing last week's points, making some coins. So that's it.
Yep.
Trades.
I agree.
Now trades.
Oh.
Joel.
Who's up?
Enlighten us.
Yep. Olaquatu's out. Eli Katola's in. Welcome to the team, mate. Very good to have you for your Skyward games. Already looking at him as a captaincy option for that Cowboys game. I can tell you that right now. Next up, Hirotti's gone. Hirotti's done. I want to free up some cash, as I mentioned, to make some moves. I've gone to Jetty Stewart, gone early. I just think the Raiders' run is way too good. No real risk, in my opinion. He's the emotion in that behind it. Love that sort of storyline in our games. It always seems to work some wonders and some magic stuff there next to the rugby league gods up there. And yeah, I think with that run that they've got, 198k bottom dollar guy has good sort of time for a spot as well. He's kind of locked in there. There's no Hopewadi, there's no Tamale now until basically the rest of the year. So it's his spot, provided no injuries. Touch wood for himself. I'm very happy to have him, and yeah, go from there. The rest of my 6 center wings by next week will be star-studded, so I'm very happy to have him.
Nice. Bit early, but again, if he nuffs out, he nuffs out. It's like you're allowed to have one, I guess, at this stage of the year, and if it's to make coin. Because what's the risk? We've got Tamale out long term. There's really no one else,
There's
is
no
there?
risk.
Hopewadi's. There is no one else.
He'll be playing. He's no nuff. As long as he doesn't get injured, he's not nothing. He'll be playing every week against weak opposition, basically until finals. So
fair, man. Yeah,
and it allows me 300k for next week. And as I said, got some plans for a couple of pretty nice looking CTW players to come into my team next week.
Obviously, one Jacob Kiraz.
Yeah,
that's
what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I'm doing it this week. Getting ahead of the pack.
Oh, good luck.
Well, then you might as well tell us the rest then. Jesse, go.
No, actually, look, the only trade that I am looking at doing this week is a Hirotti down move, and that's whether it is to Karapani, who will play that buy round, which I'm already pretty good for, so I'm not too worried about, or it is to go down a little bit further to get Jed an extra 100k cheaper. Neither of these moves have to be done this week, so it's not really anything that I've got a problem for. I've got Sandon Smith in my halfback, but I actually don't mind his fixture against the Cows this week. So it was one move that I was looking at pushing him up to Hughes, but yeah, it's without the money from Hiroti to one of those two centre wings, I don't have the coin to get him right now. I'm about probably 30k short. So yeah, I don't think I really need to do too much this week. I don't think I really lack as much in scores, but I probably get a bit more clarity around the centre wing to go down to. And if it is Jed, then sweet, I'll get a bit more money out of it. But yeah, as a seventh centre wing, it's probably worth just going to the floor anyway. Between the two of them, I don't think there's going to be. I don't think Karapani's the next coming of, you know, well, what winger have we got that's some come out of nowhere? Well, Tamale, you know what I mean? Jed Stewart, we don't know. But yeah, at the moment, I haven't actually put anything through. But just going from Hiroti down to Karapani, I bank 172. I've got 172 in there, so it's a lot to do something with. But there's just a lot of buys this week, and I don't. It's from guys that I want in teams. I want Karaz now if I could, or I want to do something this week, and there's just not those players available. So I'm thinking I might just hold off, or I might just go super early like Joel has on Jed Stewart and get ready for next week.
Even like with Karapani and Talakai and Stewart, I like Stewart the best out of all three.
Well, he's got probably the most
I
job
do,
security in a way, wouldn't he?
Like I just think Cobbo has to come back into this. Like if he's fit and healthy, whatever that is happening, whether it's just to try to snap him into place. There's obviously rumors that he's leaving the club at the end of the year, but he has to come back. Like if they're a chance to play finals football, the Broncos, it's with Cobbo in the back line, and they just need to do that sooner rather than later. So I don't really like Karapani, to be honest, and he also does cost you a bit more. Don't like Talakai for obvious reasons we've already spoken about. So just for me, it just sort of felt like, all right, Stewart's the one.
Yep.
Bonus
not
about
often.
his cash.
Yeah, at this point of the year to get someone who's basically going to be locked in for the season. And he's, he's a coach's son. He's not going to get dropped, even at the worst.
Ooh. Depends on what your last name is.
Flanagan. Hi, all. Yeah, so, yeah, we'll see. But it is one move that I'll probably end up making, that Hiroti to Stewart. Get some coin ready. Trav.
I am at the moment only making the one trade, potentially two. The second trade I'll talk about in a sec, but the one trade will be Ola Kawatu. I'm just deciding. I've got a few options, so it's either straight Ola Kawatu to Aaron Clark, cost me 12k. I straight swap Ola Kawatu down to Fermor and make 90 odd k. 80k. And I like that one too. So I'll decide which one I go there, or I play around with some jewels and go. I can put Sandon Smith up to the hooker. I put going down to 2RF trade Ola Kawatu to Jerome Hughes. So that's another option I'm tossing up onto whether I do that, or play with Jules even further and push Lucas up and go Ola Kawatu to a center wing. So I've got a few options. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to wait till it's Tuesday evening. We've got Origin tomorrow, so I'll wait till Friday to try and get as much news as I can. The other thing that I'm a little bit slightly concerned about, because in my 2RF this week, I'm playing Tino, Katoa, and Hubner, and I don't really want to play Hubner if I don't have to. But if Tino doesn't back up, which is annoying because it's Sunday night, but if Tino doesn't back up, I kind of do have to trade Ola Kawatu to a 2RF and fix a few things. So I'm going to wait till last minute, but they're some of my choices. And my second, so that was all around options around trading Ola Kawatu. And my second trade is just exactly what Joel said, Hiroti down to Stewart just to bank cash so that I can get and then use whatever the extra. And I'll have over 280k to play with over the next few weeks. And one of those options will be one Jacob Karaz. It's just a matter of who and where that comes from next week. But I'll play with that later.
Let's rewind the start of this podcast for a second. You said that was your golden rule. You don't break.
Yeah, I know.
You break.
I don't. But I also know that I've got Jacob Karaz that I've got to find a way to get next week. So
got to do it eventually.
And I've got 6 guys. Like I've got 6 center wings. So my golden rule is not to trade someone in early, but when I've got 6 and I don't care about that 7th spot, that's one that I can have.
Yeah, I
I
think
can't.
what we'll do soon. Sorry, Joel. I'll let you finish.
No, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think what we might do in the coming weeks is start talking about actually nothing in positions. Like, you can't have 7 guns, but you can have 6. I've got 6 at this stage. If I'm considering Purdue up there as well. Obviously, the 5'8" move's not been the best thing ever, but he did still ton up there. If you've got 6 actual guns in your center wing, enough one. Like, I guess it's just not like you've got enough depth at that point if you've got that many center wings that you've probably got the same amount of talent in your second row as well. Where 1, 2, I think, yes, as you get into that later stage of the year, it's really just focusing on your best 17, 18, not your best 22, 23, like we're kind of having a spread thin at the moment. So, yeah, I don't mind it at all. And if he's a playing number, someone you may have to fall back on later in the year, depending on how things look. Yeah, I think it's valid. I think it's definitely time to look at Nuffs.
Guys, also quick shout out. I can't believe we've gone this far without doing it. To Tui Simpkins for last week's little knock. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks. You actually equaled my 800K player in Drinkwater at the time, who's now dropped to 708K. So I really do appreciate having you on my side for so long. You've really paid your dues, and go back and have a rest.
Yeah, well done. I hope I see you again soon. Good old
Well
Tookie.
done. Well done. He actually looks good as well. I'll give him that. He was offloaded and everything. I liked it.
Yeah,
Get him more of a, get him starting, Desi boy. Just give him a go. Love it.
Yeah, may as well. Maybe next year. Captains.
I am.
I'll go.
I'll go, Trev. Oh, yep. For me, pretty straightforward. Herbie VC, Teddy C. Boom, boom.
Touche. Did that as soon as the app opened.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the same. I'm looking at a Pap C, though.
He hates that.
Herbie VC. I'm looking at a Pappenhausen against the South. Captaincy on that. Could very well easily flick to a Teddy Kelly. He's such a good captain option this week. It's freaking madness. What are the popular captaincies in the top 10%? Quickly looking at it. VC, Pap is the highest at 22.5% currently. Again, is quite early. Most popular captain is Tedesco at 51%. So a lot of people are going to get on that one. Herbie Farnworth, 16.1% as a captain, 9.9 on Pappenhausen at this stage. So, yep, a lot going on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just finally here, you boys sitting. Not sitting. Playing this week. I got Pappy, Metcalf or Met Goat, Hosking, and Riley Smith.
I'm Tarpany, Fletcher Sharp, Drinkwater, and tossing up between Sandon Smith, and Ethan Strange at this moment without trades.
Is that a toss-up?
Yeah, Ethan Strange would be my first pick.
Yeah, I would think so as well. To be fair,
I think Smith for the Roosters against the Cowboys is a good shout out.
Yeah, it's a really good matchup, honestly.
So, but I like Strange against the Tigers with the Tigers matchup and what they have. So, but I'm tossing it at the moment. It's the toss up between those two, but it's sitting on Strange right now.
Yeah, that's cool. My reserves are Drinkwater. I've got Teddy in the flex there, so him. I've got Fletcher Sharp. I'm starting Purdue, so pick one of them. Sandon Smith and Tino as my options. My only other player that I haven't selected is Hubner and Bronson Garlic, and I really don't want to have to rely on whatever he scores. So yeah, it's basically Hubner or whoever else, and it's not going to be that. So they kind of pick himself this week.
Tino and Stewart are my two I haven't named so far, so I probably will put Tino in there at some point, starting or the R on him, and I'll just take it off one of those others. So just wait to see any confirmed news on Tino, what he's doing.
Yeah, even if he comes off the bench, 40 minutes, 50 points.
Yeah. I'll play him. If he's going to play,
a try against Para for sure. So
yeah,
put that in the bank.
Love it.
Anyway,
all right,
let's get out of here. I'm going to go.
Caxton Street Brewery Company. Let's go. Origin tomorrow.
I need to get some sleep before a massive one. just end this podcast with a up the mighty Blues. Let's go, New South Wales.
I was going to drop fuck Queensland. Love you all.
Good night. Good day. Up the Blues.